Good afternoon, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk's MLB update. How's everybody doing today? Quick welcome to everybody watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Thank you to all the groups that allow us to share this show later on and the tremendous support we get from them. Not the least of which, by the way, we're not scrolling here. What's going on? You can see across the bottom of the ticker some of our favorites that we keep scrolling all the time. John Gonzalez from the Sports Authority is one of the best groups out there, one of the best admins, the best admin out there. What am I talking about? Greg Rawlings, second best at America's Pastime, the love for baseball. Flo and Can over at the Bottom Line Sports. They ought to be back doing their podcast more regularly as Flo gets back from his active tour of duty, which we thank him for. Constantly. Let's Talk Sports, where they do their main podcasting. But it's on Facebook and such as well. Ken Krause at Golf Buds, Sports of All Sorts, and many more. Ralph Williams, quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph is doing his podcasting these days out of Ocean City, Maryland. He's got a Pittsburgh focus, national footprint, specifically with the Sports Corner every Tuesday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. He does that with Smoking Jim Frazier. Then a guest there, and will probably be soon. I was going to be on this Tuesday, but Ralph had some things come up, so we would expect to probably be on with him soon. Lots of things going on here in the world of baseball. Good afternoon, Scott Colby, and everybody else that's out there. Scott says, did we have any doubt the Dodgers would be here and probably be World Series champions? They find the regular season very boring. It would seem to be that way, Scott. Dodgers wrap it up against the Phillies. To me, this was a classic postseason game. Maybe the starters could have gone a little deeper in this game, but whatever. The starters were electric. The bullpens were really good. Rob Thompson had to use his Game 5 starter just to get to the 11th inning. And then you get, a quirky play. Listen, it's unfortunate, the pitcher's going to hear about this for a long, long time. But this is the human element, and this is the stuff that happens in baseball, right? You get 2 outs, you get the bases loaded, and you just have a mind cramp, and you don't realize that the little squibber, Padges didn't hit the ball very hard. He didn't hit the ball hard the whole series. Hits a little squibbler back to the mound, and I can't find the picture now to save my life, of course. I'm on the wrong day. That's probably why. Where the hell is his name? Thank you. Kirkring. It's a moment that hopefully he gets to redeem himself here, right? But, look at it. These things happen in that kind of moment. I'm not easy on players who make mental mistakes, physical mistakes. This was more of this was both. But when you're a pitcher and you're thinking, got the bases loaded, I can't throw a wild pitch. I've got to go from. I got to go from the mindset of pitching to the mindset of making this play in a matter of seconds, and he just had a brain cramp. He could have gone to first base in plenty of time, even after he bobbled the ball, a little squibber. But he tries to come home. I got to believe in his mind he just forgot how many outs there were, or he didn't have a chance to get the guy at first base or whatever. It's very sad for him. But listen, this was a classic postseason game in my mind. At least as close as I'm going to get to classic today. And the Dodgers, as Scott said, I thought this team would win 115 games. It's possible, and I've said this a lot of times. I said it about the Tigers. When they're 15 games up, the biggest danger you have is yourself and boredom. And it happened to the Tigers. They're still alive, by the way. We got a great Game 5. We got 2 real great, I think, will be great game fives coming up. We'll talk about as well. And we'll talk about the Yankees being out. But in any event, you get a great game and a quirky finish and, a lot of fun. Hello, Michael Dighton Edwards. How are you, my friend? Hope things are well in Dollywood. A little cool up here in the Northeast. Played golf yesterday. I don't think it got above 54 yesterday. The sun was nice and warm, but a little windy and chilly, but beautiful day on the golf course yesterday. Nice day today. Got to rest my body. Played twice, 2 days. Did I play twice? No, I went to the driving range a couple times, but didn't play well yesterday, by the way. I played like I've never played before. Jesus. I guess it wasn't that bad, but we had a lot of fun, and we thank our group for getting us on a private course yesterday. We had a lot of fun. Scott says, where is your lean on game 5? I'm leaning towards the Cubs, quite frankly. Pitcher's still undecided, as I'd seen yesterday. Let's see. Has anything changed there? I don't think it has, but I'm leaning towards the Cubbies in that first matchup. Listen, I know there's a lot of hate out there for Craig Counsell. It's a good baseball team. I felt the Brewers are good. The Brewers don't hit with enough power. I'm waiting to see the matchup. Still no pitching matchup. We got a classic tonight in my mind. Tonight we get Skubal, who arguably is the best pitcher in baseball. And I do believe in momentum. Unlike my Monday and Friday morning partner, Jack Hirsch, I believe in momentum. And I think the Cubs have the momentum. The Tigers and Mariners have kind of gone back and forth. I don't really see a lot of momentum to worry about there. I think the next day starting pitcher is the momentum in that series. And I think there's 2 good ones. Kirby's good. And remember, the Mariners have beaten Skubal in this series. He pitched pretty well. But I'm leaning towards Seattle at home, and I'm leaning towards the Cubs on the road to get the 3-game sweep of the Mariners. And the Yankees, as we know, are already out 3-1. Listen, I can't blame Aaron Boone for this. When your best 2 pitchers in Fried and Rondon, well, arguably, I think Cam might be better than Rondon at this point. When they put up performances like they put up, now fortunately they came back for that 6-1 deficit that Rondon put them in, but I can't blame this on Boone. I mean, you can nitpick a few things. Bringing Warren in game 1, I guess, when the game was already getting out of hand, but wasn't totally out of hand. As again, you saw the Yankees came back from a 6-1 deficit. I think it was 6-1, I believe, when he brought Warren in the middle of an inning. I wouldn't have brought him in to get out of an inning. I would have brought Warren in to start an inning. But the bullpen pitched okay, except for Weaver after game 1. Weaver was just atrocious in the whole series, and he was probably their most reliable reliever all year. So I feel bad for him, but again, I can't. I feel about Aaron Boone. I'm pretty sure he'll keep his job, but I'm still not happy with this performance. And I think you saw some of the problems. The Yankees hit 5 home runs in this series, and they don't score enough to win. But again, if you're going to give up, I don't know what they give up, 30, 35 runs or something in 4 games. Jack and I had a nice discussion this morning about the Kirkering play. Kudos. I guess there's a comma there. Thank you for that. Listen, it happens. And it's the human element that I like in baseball. Guys make mistakes. This was one you can probably call it both physical and mental. And I hope the kid doesn't suffer for it. I mean, it was a great ball game. I don't think anybody can fault that. Again, I would like to see starting pitchers go deeper into games. These 2 starters were really good. Glasnow and Sanchez, right? Started or was it Sanchez? I think it was Sanchez. Sanchez started for the Phillies. Look at Rob Thompson did as what he could do. The Phillies have a good team. Phillies, it's going to be interesting here with these teams that are out, and even whenever all of these teams, I guess, in the sports world we live in today, especially in baseball, are they going to just run it back? The Phillies, I don't think they can. Are the Yankees going to run it back? No, because they can't. I saw a lot of clamoring today for Schwarber. I don't know if I'd love to have Schwarber. Schwarber does one thing really well. He hits a lot of home runs, but he can't field. You can't have him and Chance Stanton on the same roster. So for the moment, forget about Schwarber. Job one is to get Corey Bellinger re-signed. He's going to opt out, it looks like, and may have already done it today. Goldschmidt is retiring, which is fine. They weren't going to bring Goldschmidt back anyway. Good job. Classy individual. Did what the Yankees needed him to do, I think, this year. I think you'll see the Yankees go with Bird probably full-time at first base next year, but they need to get Bellinger in the fold. They need to get third base fixed. They need to maybe tweak that bullpen a little bit and maybe get another outfielder, because I'm not counting on Graham to get this done again. He's not hitting 34 home runs again. It's just not going to happen. Grisham, I'm sorry, Trent Grisham. So I don't know. Boone probably stays. By the way, with Scott Kobe here, I want to say a quick, before I go any further, I want to say a quick, give some thoughts and prayers out to the family and friends of Mike Greenwell. Very good, I think, classy player with the Red Sox. Listen, I hate the Red Sox, but I respect a lot of guys that have played for the Red Sox. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Mike Greenwell was a very, very good competitor and a really good outfielder in his time. Not a superstar, but a good, very good player. And he passed away yesterday. I want to say at 62, maybe 63. He was just diagnosed with cancer a few months ago. And cancer really sucks, right? As a 65-year-old man, when I see people 62 dying, or even 82 dying, I sit up and take notice. And anyway, our thoughts and prayers go out to the friends and family of Mike Greenwell, for sure. So Scott's opinion, the Yankees on the Aaron Boone needs to go. I agree. It won't happen. Is there, as long as Cashman is there, he better thank Cam Schlittler, for his job. Yes, I do believe, Scott, if they'd lost to the Red Sox in round one, I think Boone had been fired. My biggest problem with Aaron is still the fact I don't like the way, again, and this is partly Cashman. It's not all, listen, it's Boone's fault. It's Boone's fault for just letting it be this way. But I guarantee you, listen, he's going by a script for the most part. Again, nobody's calling the dugout and saying do this, do that. But before the game, like a lot of teams, they're just trying to script out the game as best they can. And it doesn't matter what the game situation is. I'm going by this script with pitchers, especially pitchers. And I'm so sick of this in baseball. And the Yankees are example number one for me, because I see them more than I see anybody else. And until Cashman goes, and Cashman's probably never getting fired until the Yankees, the Steinbrenner family sells the Yankees. Boone's done a pretty good job regular season wise, but again, haven't won a World Series since 2009. That's a long time in Yankee land. This is now the second longest drought in, 100 years. But he won't get fired, most likely. Weaver just melted down. Weaver is funny. Weaver did very well for most of the year. He had a couple of little spells, not nearly as bad as he was in the playoffs. Well, yeah, he had a couple of these down spells. If you remember, he hurt his arm last year in the postseason, pitched well. but never really got to 100% this year. And I think the long season, he pitched a lot. And I really think the long season just caught up with him. He pitched in a lot of different roles as well. He was a closer for a while. When they brought in all the relief pitchers at the deadline, he moved to the 6th inning guy. And maybe they just put too many innings on that arm again out of the pen. But he pitched in a lot of tough situations. And I guarantee you, if he hadn't imploded against the Red Sox, well, he imploded against the Blue Jays too. What am I talking about? Again, hindsight's 20/20, right? But a healthy Weaver helps turn this into a different series. But I shouldn't say healthy, an effective Weaver, not giving him an out. But it's too bad. It really is. It was nice to see a real extra inning. Yes. Isn't it nice to see? We don't need to start with guys on second base. Christ. We don't need home run derbies to settle games. I'm okay if that game goes 18 innings yesterday. That's how baseball's to be played, like last night. Unbelievable, right? Yeah, Bellinger has opted out. I thought I'd seen something quickly on my phone. I've been pretty busy all day since the morning show, but I thought I'd seen that, and it was a formality. He was going to opt out anyway, and the Yankees knew that when they signed him to a 2-year deal. I'm sure that they will want to bring him back, but it's going to have to be at the right price as well. So. Hello, Bob in Hildenberg. How are you? Patriots aficionado, but also a big Boston guy. And Greeny was a good guy and a really fine player, and seemed like, again, not watching him play day in and day out like I do the Yankees. He seemed to be a guy who got it, And it's sad. I don't know about you, Bob, but at my age, man, I read the obituaries like every day, and I'm like, oh, it's depressing. I see people, when I was younger, obviously, I see people go to, 75, and I think, wow, what a long life. No, I don't know, 10 years. Gator Greenwell was very underrated. I agree. In the time he played, and don't ever he was the MVP runner-up in '88. Yep, I do remember that. Had some really fine years. Again, he didn't have a long, consistent, big, huge numbers, but he was a really good player. I mean, not great defensively, but he was a good offensive player for sure. Very underrated, I would say. Never going to call him a superstar, Scott or Bob, and you guys saw him up closer than I did. And maybe he's better than I even think, but I think he was a classy player and a very productive player. And he'll be missed. What else? So we got the series to look forward to. We got tonight, Game 5. We got a Game 5 today and a Game 5 tomorrow. I love elimination games. And by the way, let's put to bed I know they didn't win the series against the Blue Jays, but let's put to bed the Aaron Judge can't hit in the postseason. Hit 500. Now, he only hit one home run, but it was a huge home run. So let's put this to bed. Even with the Yankees still down, I think 6-1 in the 9th inning of Game 4, he still has a big hit to drive in a big hit. I mean, an important hit if they'd come back to win. But, let's put it to bed. Aaron Judge is the best player in baseball. I'm sorry. It's just true. Cancer's a nasty disease, as you know, Scott, and it takes people too soon, and wish people well when they have cancer. I know you know far too well, and we do hope, Scott, since you brought it up, that you are still doing well, because we love having you here, and we want to keep you here for a long time. The home needs you, because there's nobody else, to give them, their betting tips and whatnot. And, these old folks need a hobby. Although don't take any college football picks from Scott right now is all I can tell you. Or me for that matter. Oh, gosh. So anyway, this series with the it's very interesting. You got two teams in the Brewers and the Mariners in separate series, right, who have got a lot to play for here. The Brewers have been to one World Series and lost after having a 3-2 lead in 1982 to the Cardinals. That's their postseason history, guys. They haven't had a lot of. I guess they made it to an NLCS. I want to say in 2011 with Craig Counsell. They haven't been back to the World Series since 1982. That's 40 plus years ago. I can do some math. Or the Mariners, who have never been there. Never. I think we went through this. They're the only Major League Baseball team never to have been there. I don't have that wrong, do I? Last time I said this, I had to go back and look. Been there. Everybody's been there except them. Even the Rockies have been to the World Series. Mariners have never been there. This is a team that is World Series worthy. They got a really good pitching staff. I think it's as good as the Dodgers. I really do. I think the bullpen, like a lot of teams, can be shaky. I like Munoz at the back of it. And I think their offense is deep now, especially since the trading deadline when they got Naylor and Suarez. The Tigers early on were probably a better team. I worry about that Tiger bullpen if Skubal's got to go deep into this game. And I think you will see both pitchers go deep into this game. I'm not expecting offensive fireworks, which tells you that'll probably bet the over, whatever it is. But I like the Mariners. I said if the Yankees didn't get there, my favorite would be the Mariners because they're playing great baseball. And again, I do believe momentum means something. Now, again, they've lost 2 games in this series, but again, I think that momentum of late in the season has helped them. They didn't seem to lose it through sitting out nearly a week with getting the bye. And I think getting the bye is still, a 50-50 proposition. The Dodgers didn't have a bye, and they won over a team that did. The Brewers had a bye and could go out. The Blue Jays won with a bye, and what's the other series? What's the other series? Terrible. Oh, they're still playing. There's only 2 teams. Right. There's only 2 series done. So it's 50-50 right now. Dodgers win. Blue Jays win. It's 50-50 since we started this whole playoff format that we have today. I still think you're better off playing. But again, there's an argument to be made either way. Scott's doing well. Thanks for the wishes always, my buddy. Free tapioca tonight. All right. Sweet. I'll try to get back in time for that. I got some errands to run. I'm on the loose today. Michael Gott, our good friend from the UK, is with us. It looked like you Savage the other night for the Blue Jays. I like the look of you Savage. It's funny. He'd only thrown 14, I think, major league innings. And again, I don't know if this is my imagination or not, but for decades, I'm talking about going back to the teams that won back-to-back World Series in the 70s. Yankees have always struggled with young guys they've never seen before. And maybe a lot of teams do, and they probably do. But the Yankees had no answer for Yasevich in this series, and they would have, I don't know. I don't know if they would have seen him in Game 5. I'm thinking they would have, but they had no answer for him. Yankees did in game 3 show you that they can win games. Again, a big homer by Judge, a big homer by Jazz. So they did homer to both come back and go ahead in that series, but they also scored runs without hitting home runs. But look at, they lose 3 out of 4 games. They hit 5 home runs. They don't win games without hitting home runs. We need to change the approach here. We need to change the type of players we get here. Trent Grisham, first of all, he's not going to, I would doubt Trent Grisham's on this roster next year. He's not hitting 34 home runs again. He's not as good a defensive player as people make him out to be. You watch him every day, you'll see what I mean. The good news was he played well enough they didn't have to play Judge in center field. Or Bellinger, for that matter, because I still think they're better off without either one of them. They're both very capable center fielders. And that's one of the things I like about Bellinger. I can play him at 4 positions, and he's a plus defensive player at all of them. Gives you a lot of versatility and a really clutch bat. He was really good in the clutch this year. They're going to miss him. But they got to change the way we approach the game here. I know, that we want to be the Bronx Bombers, right? But you've got to be able to scratch out runs, especially in the playoffs. And in this series, I guess I could say it doesn't matter because you can't be behind all the time and then scratch out runs. So I agree, Michael. I liked the look of Savage the other day, too. Mariners legit just got to beat Skubal, that's all. They beat him once. Game 1. He did pitch well. And again, Kirby's pretty good. That whole staff. And they're going to be all hands on deck in this game. So you may see, I don't know what they'll do. If Kirby, maybe they'll have a short leash with him and you'll see a starter come in early, but I would expect Kirby to go deep into this game. I don't see the Tigers being explosive enough to really chase him early. He's a really good pitcher. I like all the Mariners starters when they're healthy. I really do. And the Tigers, it's pretty much Skubal and then hope for rain. Mize has pitched all right, I guess. Mariners do play very good defense, play smart base running. Same as I agree with it. Well, the Tigers I agree with, except for one guy. I haven't watched him play enough. Maybe Glaber is not now, run until you get tagged kind of guy. But yeah, again, those are some of the things that the Yankees don't do. Right? Yankees have not played good enough defense. They have even Jazz did not play well on defense or offense in this Blue Jays series. Judge is really the only guy who hit. Stanton killed him. Again, you see runners left on base. There's a picture of Giancarlo Stanton. Why is it that I've been hearing the cops and the police scanner looking for you? Well, because I had to step out for a while and I forgot to tell anybody. So let them know I'll be back when I feel like it. Tapioca, though. I could be back for tapioca tonight. Chisholm, like the beautiful schizophrenic prom queen. You never know what may happen next. He's an exciting player. And for the most part, he's a really good defensive second baseman. He had a couple of faux pas here in this series, and he had one big home run. And other than that, he was pretty much had disappeared. Everybody disappeared, basically. Judge can't carry the team. Grisham didn't hit in the postseason. There's some work to do here. But again, what's exciting for me as a Yankee fan is if Cole's coming back healthy in the spring, and I can throw out Cole and Fried and Cam, Rondon maybe. I'm not a big Rondon fan. I like the rotation next year. Tweak the bullpen. Gotta be more fundamentally sound, though. Situational hitting, running the bases, as Michael said a minute ago. Just gotta be better in those. We gotta put a better, fundamentally sound team together. Brian Cashman hasn't done that in a long time. Besides your guys, who's a free agent you want to see the Yankees go after? You know, let me check something. I'll give you an answer in a second. I really think what's going to happen with Bregman. Is he going to opt out? I like Bregman a lot. There's going to be clamoring for Real Muto because people are down on Wells a little bit. I like Wells. I like his pop. I'd like to see him hit for a little more average. But his defensive, I think his defense has come a long ways in the last couple of years. I wouldn't go there. So I don't know that I chase any of these catchers. First baseman, again, they'll be clamoring for Alonso. Don't want Alonso. He's a guy who I think is not a good defensive player. And, he's Dave Kingman in my mind. Might think about Naylor. Unless if Rice were going to be the full-time catcher, Rice has got to play almost every day. Maybe you set him against some tough lefties or whatever. But he's playing for full-time somewhere, first base or catcher next year. If I'm not going to play Rice at first base, I might go after Josh Naylor. I like him a lot. Goldschmidt is going to retire by all purposes. Second baseman, I don't think we need a second baseman, so I'm not worried about that. Shortstop, we got to get Volpe. You got to change his game. I mean, I don't need him hitting 210 with 20 home runs. It doesn't help me. And going 2 months playing horrible defense. He got his defense righted for the stretch run, and in the playoffs, he played really good defense. But the guy goes up and swings for home runs. You got to utilize your speed. They've got to change his approach at the plate. And you got Lombard backing up or coming up here at some point in the next year and a half. Caballero, I think I'd keep around too because he's an exciting player. Bregman, if he opts out, I think the Yankees will be interested in Bregman. They got to fix third base. They got to have somebody who's a plus fielder and can hit a little bit. I love McMahon. Great fielder. I thought he would hit righties better than he did. No. Not a big fan of Suarez because he's 34. And again, I got a bad feeling about where he's going to hit a wall at some point. He's going to go. I thought it would be before now, quite frankly. So I certainly would consider Bregman at third base, probably the only guy in the free agents I would look at. They're probably going to look at outfielders. The guy I like again, Bellinger. Boy, there's not a lot to like. I mean, Luis Robert is young. If they let him go, they got a club option there with the White Sox. I'd be hard pressed with the right deal, a club-friendly deal, not to give Luis Robert a shot. But that's a bit of a stretch. Kyle Tucker is a guy that I would like to have on this team. He's a good fielder. He can't play right field. I'm not sure whether he can play center field. If he can and do it adequately, I would love to have Kyle Tucker on this team. He's a guy that I would really be after is Kyle Tucker. It's going to be a lot of crying for Schwarber. Can't have Schwarber and Stanton both, guys. Neither one of them can play the field. So, and starting pitching, I'm not sure they'll go that route. Michael King does have a mutual option. I would love to see Michael King, assuming he's healthy, potentially come back to the Yankee organization. He'd be a guy I'd like. I like Ranger Suarez, but again, we got freed, so I'm not sure. I'm not going to pay a lot. I'm going to have a lot wrapped up in pitchers, especially when I got to extend Cam at some point. But to me, not a lot to like in the. This is a pretty weak free agent class in my mind. You've got guys that are either old or hurt or both, coming off bad seasons. But one guy I am intrigued with. I guess I'm intrigued with a couple of guys. on the pitching side. I'm intrigued with Michael King. I'm intrigued with Framber Valdez from the Astros as well. But again, guys come to New York and they get hurt. So I'm kind of interested in that. I'm not, Michael. I picked the Cubs to win this. So when they got down 2-0, obviously, before the Yankees won a game against, I shouldn't say that. That was a previous series. Anyway, they got down 2-0, and it's not easy. Not a lot of clubs come back and win 3 straight games. It's only happened a handful of times. The Brewers actually did it in '83 against the Angels that year. Or '82, the year they did go to the World Series. I'm not surprised at the fight with the Cubs. Counsell's a good manager. A lot of guys hate him. I know Danny Fuller's not with us today. He badmouthed Counsell pretty good. I did too. And my biggest problem with him is that he was negotiating for a job that was full, right? David Ross, who's being mentioned pretty prominently for the Atlanta job, had done a fine job, I thought. And, if they wanted to get rid of him, they should have fired him. And I don't like it when guys, Joe Torre did it to Grady Little in LA, and we've seen it happen a lot of times. I don't like it. There's only a couple things I don't like with managers, taking new jobs or keeping their jobs. We talked about one of them already, which I'll repeat in a second. One is don't go negotiating for a job that isn't open. Number one. Number two, don't let them fire your entire coaching staff, which Aaron Boone did back in, I want to say 21, maybe 22, including his best friend in baseball, Phil Nevin. They let go, and he doesn't stand up. And Mendoza did the same thing this year with the Mets. I don't like it. I think it shows a lack of character. And again, it's easy for me to say I'm going to throw away millions of dollars and walk away as a sign of solidarity with fired coaches. If you didn't bring them in, that's one thing. But if you brought these guys in and they're your guys, then you got to stand behind them and say, if they go, I go. So I have a problem with that stuff. So no, I'm not surprised about the Cubs fight here. Listen, there's some guys that I love on this team. I love Kyle Tucker. I love Suzuki. Oh, speaking of Japanese players, I got another thought on the Dodgers. I love Dansby Swanson. So I like this team. I like the moxie. Ian Happ, I've loved a lot. Huge home run the other day to help propel this team to a Game 5. I love Ian Happ. Yankees been after Ian Happ for 5 years. He's still a Cub. So a lot of guys. I would say opt-in. I would say yes. That's actually accurate. I think it's probably a foregone conclusion. He'll opt out. He's a Boros guy, right? Bregman's looking for a 5 or 6 deal minimum. Listen, he's 32. At a reasonable rate, I'll give this guy 5 years. Because I think he can still play. I think when he was healthy this year, I think he played fine. He's still a real good fielder. I think he's a clutch hitter, and he's something the Yankees don't have. And I don't think he's, Josh Donaldson. I think he's a good player yet. Yeah, I thought he was a Boros guy. Listen, I always liked Counsell because I thought he did more with less than most managers in baseball in Milwaukee. But again, I lost a lot of respect for him when he interviewed for a job that wasn't open. Again, I said these same things about a guy I love, Joe Torre. I love Joe Torre, and I still love Joe Torre. But I really thought it was classless that he went out to L.A. and interviewed and finally got a job that wasn't open. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the openings. So I don't know. Listen, right now of the playoff teams that are going to get eliminated here, I don't think the Yankees are going to change managers. The Blue Jays certainly are not changing managers now. Schneider's done very well, especially since he's got them now to the ALCS. The Indians aren't changing managers. The Tigers aren't changing managers. Certainly the Cubs are not. Certainly the Brewers are not, no matter what happens tonight. The one team, the Dodgers aren't changing no matter what happens. The one playoff team, and again, the two playoff teams that I think could make changes, Yankees are not making a change. I'll put them in there. But the one team I think you could see a change is Rob Thompson could be in trouble in Philadelphia. Tough place to manage, tough place to play, and I love Rob Thompson, and I wish our job was open. He should have been interviewed at least for the job when Aaron Boone got it. And I think Rob Thompson could be in trouble. So you could see a couple more positions open up. We've obviously seen one hiring. Skip Schumacher got the job in Texas. Did a decent job in Miami under horrible circumstances as always. The Giants are open. Bob Melvin, probably not. He did a great job for a bunch of years in Oakland, but I think off of his tenure in San Diego and San Francisco have to be looked at kind of as failures. I think he's going to have trouble getting another job, at least right away. And Bruce Bochy's not going to get that job. There was a lot of chatter about that. Buster Posey did, pour some cold water on that. Not going to happen. I hear they're really high on Nick Hundley, former catcher and former teammate, I think, of Posey, and a few other guys as well. Who else? The Angels, Ron Washington, who I think they did badly, by the way. I'm glad Ron Washington's out of there. Good baseball man, a lifer. Bad situation. As long as Artie Moreno owns his team, it's going to be a horrible situation. I'm glad he's out of there, but I think it was classless. They fire him, and he said he did the right thing too. He said it was for performance, not because I got sick. I just think it's classless. A lot of reports that Luis Pujols, or Albert Pujols, who the hell's Luis Pujols? Albert Pujols is the front runner for this job. Torrey Hunter's come up, as well as a couple other names there. Torrey Hunter's going to come up in Minnesota most likely as well. As far as Texas and the Braves, we had talked about, they didn't get fired, these two guys. They're the two guys who didn't get fired. The rest did. Brad Schnicker leaves, and kudos to him. 45 years in baseball, the last 10 as manager of the Braves. He got a World Series victory. They were in the playoffs every year until this year. Did a great job there. He decided he'd had enough. I do hear David Ross's name there, and I haven't heard a lot of other names in conjunction with that job. The Rockies, listen, you might as well hold open tryouts and let homeless guys take this job, because who's going to be able to win there? Bud Black, luckiest guy in baseball, getting fired there at 7-33. There is some talk that Schaefer, who is an interim manager, will get this job, because I don't know if they're going to get anybody else. Clint Hurdle's there in the house. Maybe I don't know if he's going to stay or go. He's not going to be the manager there. Like Clint Hurdle a lot. Had tried to get him on my show, and he's been busy with a book tour, and then he took this job. So we'll try to get him. The Nationals, I would like to see them give Miguel Cairo this job full time, but I don't know if that'll happen. Remember, they fired Dave Martinez back in the middle of the season. My guess is that they're going to, hold some interviews. And a guy like Rocco Baldelli or somebody could get one of these jobs as well. He's the one guy I would think could rebound and get a job right away, is Rocco Baldelli, who did a really good job, really until this year. He's gone from the Twins. I think Torrey Hunter is going to be a possibility there, by the way, as well as in California. The Orioles, Brandon Hyde might be another guy that the Nationals look at in my mind. Good player development guy. Did a great job with the Orioles while they were developing players at the major league level. And he might fit certainly what they're trying to do in Washington. So keep an eye on that in my mind. As far as the Orioles management job, it's possible that Masolino keeps that job as interim as well, but they'll certainly look at other options. So that's kind of where I stand with the managerial openings. Mark DeRosa is a good chance. That's a good one, Scott. I have heard his name a little bit with Atlanta now that I mention it. If you remember, DeRosa managed, and I think is managing again, Team USA and the World Baseball Classic. And maybe I'm wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure he's managing again, I think in 26, right? Is the year. Don't we have a WBO next year? WBC next year. I'm calling out boxing titles now. I think the WBC is next year, and I think Mark DeRosa is scheduled to be the manager. That might change if he becomes a manager of the Braves, but that's a good one. Mark DeRosa is a good baseball man. He's gonna manage in the majors, I'm pretty sure, if he wants to do it. That's a good one, a real good one, actually. He is the USA manager again. I'm a big fan of the WBC. I know a lot of baseball fans aren't. The timing of it is tough because of spring training, and guys can get hurt. You know, guys are going to get hurt. They're going to get hurt. I love it when guys go and represent their country. And the WBC is a fun tournament, and it's a couple of weeks, 3 weeks out of the spring training. Some guys aren't playing a lot, so that could be a problem. But there's no other time to play it. When else are you going to play it? Can't play it after a long baseball season. I like it a lot. Michael will be watching the Tigers and Mariners game 5. It could be a case of I don't go to bed just yet. I'm assuming that game is at 8 o'clock tonight, right? When is that game? I'm assuming 8 o'clock. Where's the time? Why don't you give me the time? 8:08. Yeah. I haven't been a lot of late nights. I mean, I had a late night with the Yankees in game 3, but there have been a lot of late nights. I guess the Dodgers, a couple of Dodger games started late, but for you, geez, so what's it right now? It's 8:48 for you, Michael. So you got to wait another 4 hours, let's say, a little more than 4 hours for this game. So you're going to have to be up at 1 a.m. to watch this game till 5 a.m. So you'll be working tomorrow with no sleep. Eduardo Perez has interviewed with teams in the past. I don't know. I haven't heard Eduardo Perez in a while. Although anything that gets him off baseball broadcasts, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of Eduardo. Maybe he'll be a good manager. I don't know. But he's a type of player who turns into a good manager. So he's not going to get a job that if you're Eduardo Perez, do you stay at ESPN doing baseball, assuming ESPN keeps him baseball, or he gets hired somewhere else? Or do you take the Rockies job? I'm staying in television. I don't think the Nationals are going to see him as him as an option again because of his, again, never managed, never coached in the major leagues as far as I know. And maybe I'm wrong, Michael. Correct me if I'm wrong. So to me, he'd be a tough guy to bring into one of these jobs. Colorado's like the only place I can see a home for him of the jobs that are open. Right? The Giants are going to think that they're contenders now. They're not going to hire Eduardo Perez. They're going to go with an more experienced guy. Although Hundley's not experienced either. But he's got ties to the organization and ties to Buster Posey. And that's a key too, right? Having ties to these organizations is a big deal. Where else is open? We talked about the Braves. I can't see a team like the Braves. To me, they're going to hire a Mark DeRosa type or a David Ross, somebody with some experience or ties to that organization. Rockies, I think, would be a potential landing place. Nationals, I say no because of the player development that's still needed there. Orioles, maybe, but I think they've done well. I don't know what they'll do. They've done well with the player development guys, and now they've got some guys who are developed in stars, and maybe what they need is some star power, like when they brought in Buck Showalter. That's not Eduardo Perez either, though. I guess the Angels could consider him, but again, if you're going up against Albert Pujols, you're probably not getting that job. And maybe the Twins. That's a place that you might want to think about him if he were to want a job. I don't know what his deal is. You're staying in Dollywood over the Rockies job. I don't blame you. I'm serious. I'm retired. They could offer me $5 million to manage that team, and I wouldn't take it. No, that's not true. I would take it and hope they fired me in 30 days because I would age 30 years in a year in that job. Listen, there was a time in my life I'd give my right arm, well, maybe my left arm, to be a Major League Baseball manager. Just for 1 year. Pay me and to go away. But I don't think I want that job. That would probably age me. I'd be like McMurphy. What was his name in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? McMurphy. I'd be like him at the end without the actual surgery. McMurphy. Colorado's not going to hire Perez. They'll go with a current bench coach. No, I don't think so. Clint Hurdle. Oh, Clint Hurdle was the bench coach. I don't think Clint Hurdle. Well, maybe he's not. Maybe he was a special. When he came in under Bud Black, which was after the season started, by the way. But it's not going to be Clinton Hurdle. I'm sorry. He's a hitting coach and special assistant to the general manager now. So that's my bet. So maybe. I think they keep the interim guy myself. So again, I haven't heard Eduardo's name in quite some time. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, Michael. But if you want the job and want to give up all that luxury in Dollywood, also keep an eye on Ryan Flaherty, Cubs bench coach. This is where teams are going, right? It doesn't matter whether we're talking NFL or Major League Baseball. We're hiring young guys now. I think the Tony La Russa experiment with the White Sox probably really soured teams on going for, older guys. And I'm trying to think of some now. I want to see Donnie get a job, but I don't think Donnie's taking a managerial job again. Maybe with the Yankees, if it should ever open. Joe Girardi gets mentioned. I think Girardi's done managing. I really do. I think he's wound too tight. Too tight. Oh, there's Girardi now. No, I don't, Michael. Good. Hey, Michael, that's the first time I've seen your picture. If that's actually you, you got a little picture of yourself there. It's good to be able to put a face to a name. I don't think they go back to Girardi. Or I'm sorry. I don't think it was a mistake to fire Girardi at the time. I think that team played like their manager. And again, he did win a World Series in 2009. So I give him a lot of credit. He won a lot of games, but that team was tight. And I think they were due for a change. I just wish it hadn't been Aaron Boone. I was an advocate. This isn't revisionist history, by the way. I said this at the time. They didn't even give Rob Thompson an interview, and they should have. Rob Thompson is a lifer in baseball, knows more baseball than most of these guys ever. He's forgotten more than most of them ever knew. But I don't think getting rid of Girardi was a bad move at the time. And I'm not sure Girardi's going to manage again. Thank you, Michael, for coming in. We will see you Sunday morning. We'll be out of here in about 5 minutes or so. Check out Michael's stuff, by the way. He's got a new article out on TGI Sports Talk, and I believe I've shared it to my personal page already in a few of the groups, some of which you see at the bottom, at least the Sports Authority. So we thank you for accepting that article, the way you do these shows. Michael's got a gift for writing. I got to tell you, it's tremendous. And I love the article that's up there now, and I won't give it away. What's there? Some people, if you don't agree, don't kill the messengers. It's pretty accurate, though. Instead of getting Boone, thinking about it, instead of getting Boone and thinking about it more, no, it was time. It was time for him to go in my mind. Again, it's pretty obvious how I feel about Aaron Boone, right? I felt the same way about Aaron Boone since about the time he was hired. I wasn't really crazy about the fact that they brought a guy in here with no experience. I think his lack of experience still shows. I think he covers up for players too much. Girardi didn't do that. Girardi would hold guys accountable, I think, better than Aaron Boone. So again, as I think about it more, even with all that, I still think it was time for a change. I just wouldn't have brought in Aaron Boone. I think there was other options the Yankees could have considered at the time, and I don't remember who they were, quite frankly, Michael. It's 6 or 7 years ago now, at least 6, right? But Rob Thompson is a guy that was right under their nose, and they didn't consider. And there was a few other guys that I would have thought of as well. And again, I'm strapped to remember their names today, but I do know that I felt at the time it was time for Girardi to go, and I still feel that way today. There have been some chatter. I don't know if it was, maybe it was you, Michael, that brought it up, or Michael Dighton Edwards. I'm not sure about bringing Girardi back. I would not do that. Not in a million years. Bringing guys back rarely works. Any place, in any sport. That's not to say it never happens, but it rarely works out. But, he was an effective manager for a while. Won a World Series here. The only World Series they've won in 25 years. One World Series win in 25 years. No World Series appearances in 16. That's the longest in like 100 years for the Yankees. It's the longest since 76, for sure. That was 14 years. Or 12 years, sorry. 12 years. Oh, no, I'm sorry. World Series. So it was 77. So it was 13 years. They're out of the playoffs for 12 before they got in. But we're going to wrap it up, guys. I want to thank everybody. Michael, Scott Colby, anybody else watching out there who was not spoken up today. Frank Laterzo, good to see you out there. If you're still listening, check out Glove Fist with Frank and Jack Hirsch. They'll get into something all the time. We love seeing Frank. You got to comment. I love it when you comment. I know you're happy with the Philadelphia. Worst night in Philadelphia history probably last night, right? So thank you, Michael. We'll see you Sunday morning, guys, with the Stream of Consciousness. And we'll be back on Monday morning with Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook. I'm off to get a flu shot and a pneumonia shot. Exciting Friday night in my life, eh? And then maybe some tapioca.